finished planting the onions yesterday, and now it's time to plant leeks. This works out really well because it rained last night. Not only did the onions get watered in, but it'll make it much easier to plant the leeks. I've already planted 2 of our 3 varieties of leeks. I used the remainder of the onion row. I had planned in my crop rotation map to use this entire row for leeks. I don't need to use the entire thing, but I'm going to prep the whole bed because even though I'll only use about a third of it for leeks, I can plant something else here now. If everything goes well, leeks grow to be substantially larger than onions and need a lot more space. Unlike some of the onions I planted, Patterson, storage onions in particular, leeks need to be separated, and only one leek is going to go in each hole that I make in the row. That being the case, I need to separate any leeks that are growing together in the same cell. Essentially, this is like pricking out. I take the leeks out of their cells and rinse them so that the soil comes off the roots and I can separate any multiples. Then I place them in this tray of water. You never want the roots to dry out. Luckily, it rained last night. As I mentioned, this will make it easier to plant the leeks, and I'll show why that is in just a second. Separating them into 2 groups, large and small. The large are the ones that I think are doing really well. They performed the best when they were in their seed flats over the last 2 months. Those are the ones I'm going to plant into the garden. The smaller ones I'm going to save, pack together, and donate to a local school that has a great garden program. Even though these ones are small now, they'll probably be fine and do well over the season. The reason I'm keeping the big ones is that I want to store the leeks throughout the winter. My experience has shown that the larger the leek, the better it stores. The students won't want to store their leeks. In reality, a school cafeteria can go through hundreds of leeks in a single lunch setting. This is more about exposing the students to something with which they may not already be familiar. Although I'm using the same template that I use for onions and garlic, I will not be planting the leeks using the same spacing. Instead, I'll be planting in every other hole and staggering the leeks in rows of 3 and 2. This will essentially give them twice as much space as the onions, but still use the row efficiently. And this is why I like to plant leeks just after a long, light rain. Leeks are a unique type of crop. Even though the entire plant is edible, the blanched, or white part, at the bottom is what is prized for culinary uses. Farmers and gardeners force their leeks to blanch by hilling soil against the leeks all season. The leeks will turn white anywhere that was not exposed to the sun. Elliot Coleman describes a much less work-intensive process for ensuring high blanching. Plant them deeply. Although it's been years since I read it, Coleman describes in one of his books the story of an old-time farmer telling him to use a broom handle to dibble very deep holes for leeks. My soil is very rocky, and if I tried to use a broom handle, I'm quite sure it would simply disintegrate after 1 or 2 holes. Instead, I use a wrecking bar. I try to get the holes to be about 6 to 9 inches deep. This is why the rain is helpful. When the soil is dry, the sides of the hole will collapse into the hole as soon as the bar is removed. When the soil is a little bit moist, the hole will maintain its structure. This makes it much easier to make the holes and to get the leeks into them. In fact, in years when I don't have good rain fortune around leek planting time, I'll run a sprinkler for an hour or so and moisten the row where leeks are going to be planted. As you can see, another difference between the way I plant leeks and the way I plant onions is that I don't push the soil in around the leeks. I just pop them in the hole and leave them like that. When I'm finished planting, I will come in with a hose under rather high pressure and spray so that soil comes down into the hole and covers the roots of the plant. But I don't fill the hole the entire way. Nature will do that over the course of the season. When it rains, when the wind blows, etc., soil will continue to fall into the hole and naturally blanch the leeks. I'm also going to mulch them when I'm finished planting. That'll help as well.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. You and me were meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. You and me meant to be